Don't plan out what you're saying word for word when you're on a podcast interview. Rather, have a flow and an idea of where you want to go. Hi, this is Kathleen Gage with Power Up for Profits and the 100 Club, where we work with experts, helping them to achieve 100 podcast interviews in record time through a very strategic process. And as I work with people, oftentimes, if they've not interviewed before, they think they have to script things out word for word. Nothing could be further from the truth, because in reality, what a podcast interview is simply in a conversation. You're having a conversation with another person, and the more of a conversation you have, the more likely it will be that the interview comes out stellar. If you plan out everything you're going to say, what happens if the host deviates from your questions? Now, some hosts will ask you for questions. Other hosts, they don't want your questions. They want to research you. They want to maybe look at, if you have a book, maybe they want to read your book or read sections of your book. And don't be offended if they don't read the whole book, but you need to know your book, because I've had occasion where a host will say, well, you know, in chapter 12, when you talked about such and such. And I'm like, wow, I love that this host really took the time to research my information and research me and really take an interest in what I was going to be talking about. So the whole point being is you're here to have a conversation. You're not here to have a dialogue. You're here to have a monologue, or rather, excuse me, you're not here to have a monologue. You're here to have a dialogue. You're here to have an exchange. And what I love most about the exchanges is often something will come out of your mouth that you weren't planning, you weren't intending, and it's spot on. I just had a wonderful, wonderful experience where I did an interview, and it was the Cloud9 interview, and it asked me the question. He said, what would you call one of your Cloud9 moments in life? And you know, you would think that you would talk about maybe a victory in business, maybe a victory financially, a victory in your health, whatever it is. And mine happened to be when I was caretaking my mother. Didn't expect that to come out of my mouth, but it did. And it was because we were having a conversation. We were having a dialogue, not a monologue. And so I encourage you, think about what it is you really want to share with the world. And it's not about using podcasts necessarily to make a lot of money. Now, it can happen, definitely. But podcasts are really a great way to share your message, to share your philosophy, to share the meaning you have for doing the things that you do. What's your big why? And podcast shows are a great opportunity to do that. 4 hours, it had almost 1,000 views. These are 1,000 people that are being exposed to my philosophy, my information, my beliefs, people that I don't even know who these people are. And you know, it really got me to thinking when I saw how many people had viewed in less than 24 hours. When I was on my run today, I was listening to Jim Rohn, and I like to take runs probably about 4 or 5 times a week, and I take my dog with me, a rescue dog. And I was thinking about my big why, and my big why happens to be around rescue animals. That's a big motivator for me. Another big motivator for me is educating people and raising awareness around compassionate eating and plant-based eating and what it can do for our health. So I'm looking at all this, and I'm thinking back to different times in my life where I really thought I had arrived. And what I mean by that is you get that job you've really been wanting, you say, I've arrived, this is it. And then something happens and you're not in the job anymore, and you go on to something else, but it was something with that job that led to the something else. The something else happens. I remember the first time I did an audio program. It was cassettes. And this is when I was contracting with SkillPath. And they had me put together an audio program. And I remember being in the studio. They flew me out to Kansas City, and I was in the studio, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I've arrived. Well, that was 25 years ago. And that wasn't my arrival point. It was my arrival point for right there and then, but that led into other opportunities, which led into other opportunities, which led into other opportunities. And the point that I've gotten to in my life is everything unfolds as it should, and we never really arrive. We're always arriving, and yet we never really arrive. And when you do podcast interviews, don't think of it as this is the end all be all. Think of it as just one more step in the journey of your life, one more step and one more opportunity to share your philosophy, your beliefs, and your big why. Have a dialogue, have a conversation more than a monologue. Don't practice every word of what you're going to say, because it'll come across as very stiff. It'll come across as not authentic. And people are looking for authenticity nowadays. They're looking for people to share their heart. They're looking for people to share real information. This is Kathleen Gage. I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, because then you'll get notified when new videos are put up. And I try to do at least 5 a week with a lot of great information around how to get podcast interviews, how to be a stellar guest on podcasts, how to share your message and your why with the world through podcast interview opportunities. I don't teach you how to start a show. That's not my deal. I teach you how to be a stellar guest. So subscribe to this channel, hit the bell notification, and be sure to like this video, because the more likes it gets, the more it goes out into YouTube land, wherever that is. And remember to go out and create lots of opportunity for yourself. The way to create that opportunity is to be authentic, be who you are, and just speak from the heart. Have a great day.